For the first time in 46 years, the best of the best in the Sports Car Club of America return to the West Coast for the club's annual one-race battle for the title of champion in 27 classes. This year's three-day duel for the medals brings over 400 racers to California's Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca on the stunning Monterey Peninsula. It's time to seriously step up at the 2014 and 51st SCCA National Championship Runoffs. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the Formula B Run to the Medals at the 2014 SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Welcome, everybody. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Jeff Lepper. The cars are on track. Down in pit lane, these cars are going to be singing by a very lucky guy, Hayward Wagner.
Indeed, Formula 1000 taking to the track. These are motorcycle engines, 1000cc, high-revving Formula cars with flat bottoms. One of the fastest classes in SCCA in a straight line, but a little bit less grip in the corners. So driving ability, tire management will be big stories here in Formula 1000.
Absolutely, and I said singing by to some, and it'd be screaming by, because they do make a glorious sound either way you look at it. Again, you know, very, very aggressive aero on these cars. You see the wings on it, and you look underneath the cars, there's that flat bottom, but then that diffuser right at the back that just opens up, speeds the air up as it starts to exit under the car, and as that air speeds up as it exits, creates that low pressure area underneath the car, even though it's flat bottom, and makes those cars generate just an amazing amount of stick at this category. I mean, bordering on what you see in the P1 class or in the Atlantic class that runs an actual full tunnel. The aero technology here is pretty amazing.
Yeah, you try to create maybe some tunnels on the side pods with the way the radiators cool these cars, and you try to just kind of angle some of the sheet metal through there, that carbon fiber, to sort of get that downforce, but that rear diffuser is really going to play a part on how much stick you get on these cars.
Absolutely, and you can see also they are very aggressive in trying to get the tires cleaned up and heated up here as we get going. On the pole, J.R. Osborne, three-time national champion, and absolutely amazing story, always super fast. Asked by Ralph Furman Racing to, would you run our new RFR F1K 015 chassis? He said, you bet, would be honored to do that. Alex Mayer, a great run into second. Alex awfully effective in the Eastern Conference of the U.S. Majors Tour this year. Gary Hickman qualifies third. Jeremy Hill sits fourth in that Photon entry, third in the Northern Conference in the U.S. Majors Tour, so great to see that. Larry Vollum, the number 5, sits in the 5th spot. Defending champion and 4-time national champion Lawrence Loshak in the number 1 will qualify and start in the 6th spot in the Shader ETE Hoosier Astra Summerhawk Suzuki. Then Glenn Cooper in the 43, Jason Bell in the number 2, fill out 7 and 8, 9 and 10, the 6 of Tyler Thielman, in the 9 of Randy Cook, 11th and 12th, the 7 of Rod Rice, the 14 of Jose Gerardo, 13th and 14th, the 79 of Dora Cheponik, and the 33 of John Labrie, and rounding out the field, 15th and 16th, the 18 of Russ Wolf, and the 21 of Dwayne Eitel, and that's the story. Now, Lawrence Loshak, just to make a point, yes, he won this championship last year, but in 2006, he won E-Production, 2010 DSR, 2013 H-Production, and Formula B. And that car Loshak running this year, not the chassis he won with last year. It's a different chassis. How will it work? We're going to find out. The green flag flies. 20 laps of racing as we get underway here at the Runoffs. And believe me, Jeff, this shouldn't be a timed event unless something massive happens, because these cars will get around here easily in 20 laps under 40 minutes.
Oh, yeah, but way sideways as they go through there, way off to the outside. You see a few of our cars back in the field, but J.R. Osborne getting the jump and getting the lead through turn number 2 and 3.
And there's Alex Mayer tucking right in behind those JDR cars. A very different look to some of the other cars. It almost looks like somebody took a car and then just flattened it, pushed down on it. They're just trying to make that manage the air. It's all about that, and they've opted to do it a little bit different routing. Good battle right there coming through the hill. There's the number 1 in Loshak, that all-white machine, and he's moved up, I think, a spot, Jeff, into 5th.
Well, you mentioned that chassis that he's in. He ran one of those JDRs last year to a national champion, and running this Astra Summerhawk chassis with the Suzuki 1000cc here today.
Oh, and he's trying to make a move. This would put him up into 4th. Couldn't quite get it done. And boy, way around the, what a move that was, around the outside into the corkscrew. Fantastic move, and even tried for a little bit more there, couldn't quite get it done. Boy, that guy's flying.
Yeah, coming down to the end, number 14
That's from 12th, man. That's Jose Gerardo up from 12th. What an incredible opening lap he has put together here.
Yeah, putting that car all over the track and
Not
off to the
particularly,
side. And
yeah, not really pretty, but sure has been quick.
that really affected his momentum there, coming down to the inside.
And
Cooper trying to make a move.
Yeah, it's Cooper, the 43, not quite able to get it done. Boy, these guys are absolutely hooked. So close. Boy, Cooper had to lock up massively there not to get into the back of Gerardo. Up into 4th right now, sitting behind as those guys up front. Absolutely spectacular launch. And the battling is, but J.R. Osborne at 126.9 right off the bat, Jeff.
Yeah, the first lap out runs it up about 2 seconds slower than the qualifying time with no temperature in these tires or brakes yet. Boy, good times pulling away. 1.1 seconds on 1 lap.
Absolutely. Alex Mayer second, the 76 at Gary Hickman right there in 3rd. Jeremy Hill sits there in 4th, and then Gerardo 14th to 5th on the opening lap. We do have a Sunoco Hard Charger Award. Right now, he's got to be the early candidate, of course.
Oh, absolutely. Looking to try to win those special awards. We thank to Tire Rack for our pole award winner, the GoPro Hero Move of the Race Award, and that Sunoco Hard Charger Award. A lot of special stuff going to a lot of these racers here this weekend.
Boy, and again, this J.R. Osborne, that car, and look at the back, look at the rear wing configuration. I was watching that car earlier in the week. I know you like downforce here on this track, but J.R. in that car, they've added a 3rd element to that rear wing to just crank downforce into this machine.
That's really going to help him in that low speed corners, turn 3, turn 4 that are nice and flat. When you hit turn number 5, you get that little hit coming up the hill, and we'll see if that plays an advantage, and that's really helping him here, I got to think.
Yeah, at this point, especially when you've got tires that aren't necessarily up to heat here. And, you know, we've talked about this before. A lot of guys have been talking about how this track is way slipperier than it's been all week. After the cool start with the fog yesterday, the sun was beating on this track right from daybreak here, and it really seems to have greased it up a little bit.
Good shot of Jose Gerardo on the screen right now. Your fastest car at a 125.348, a 10th quicker than your leader.
And into the pits early comes the number 6, Tyler Thielman. He's out of Kiel, Wisconsin. That's a long drive from Kiel. That's over by Road America territory in the So Bright Moon Supercycle. JDR Suzuki early problems. Oh. That's Gerardo. He was going so fast, and now he has gone so far off.
Yeah, right into the wall, and it looks like he might have had some damage to that right front before.
Yeah.
I thought I saw something to that right front damage and off into the wall, turn number 6.
Wow, boy, he went off at a serious clip as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. I mean, he had just turned, as we said, the fastest lap of the race, that 125.3. Then, though, it went away from him. So Glenn Cooper and that black car we just had a vision of chasing the 00 of Jeremy Hill, those guys are all going to advance up a spot.
Yeah, goes up into 4th and 5th, respectively, against Hill and Cooper.
Up front, J.R. Osborne, in the course of 3 laps, opens up a margin of almost a second a lap. He's 2.8 clear.
Yeah, doing a good job. A little lockup behind him for Glenn Cooper. And you see the gap that created, just that one little mistake, and it allows Hill to pull away.
You see Cooper, too, is running that triple element rear wing on the back of those cars. So obviously that's that's the same chassis that J.R. Osborne is running. So those guys, they definitely wanted downforce on these cars, and if the track's a little slipperier than it has been, that's going to really be a huge benefit to them.
Loshuk under attack by Vollum. Vollum goes down to the inside, trying to make that move. He does. He completes it in turn number 5.
Nice pass by Vollum, and again, Loshuk just running a different chassis this year, and that's part of the development cycle. You know, you win a championship, and oftentimes the manufacturer will go, you know, we'd like you to campaign this chassis, really try and tweak it out for us. And Lawrence Loshuk, when I ran through what he's achieved, E-Production Championships, DSR, H Production, the guy clearly can drive anything and drives it very well, and that's invaluable information when you're developing a new chassis.
Yeah, look at the data, the driver field feedback on what you can do and what you can change. Look for him to be very, very strong next year at Daytona.
Yeah, and that number 2 at Jason Bell is coming, isn't he? He's closed up on the back of these 2 guys.
J.R. Osborne still setting fast lap after fast lap, that time by completing lap number 4, a 125.267. Your leader, the fastest car on the track.
Yeah, he's just clocking them right now, so we're kind of keeping our eyes focused on this great battle that we're watching for sixth with Larry Vollum, Lawrence Loshak, and Jason Bell coming after him. Right in front of them, pretty good little scrap for fourth between the 00 of Jeremy Hill and the 43 of Glenn Cooper. But up front, it's all J.R. Osborne. Second is Alex Mayer and the 76 of Hickman. And even there's a fairly good margin.
Yeah, there's a good margin right there. There's your leader, J.R. Osborne, Alex Meyer right behind him, and Gary Hickman first, second, third. Watching the front wing on Lawrence Loshak's car, though, getting a lot of shaking on that. I don't know if he's lost a strut brace on the front wing or had some damage, or maybe, hey, that's part of that development. We need to make the front wing just a little bit stronger.
And when a wing shakes like that, Jeff, sometimes it'll just let air spill out from under it and across the top of it where it's being channeled, and that can have a huge effect on the front downforce. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no turn-in point there. You get no front grip. You're having to fight the car. It's going to push off that, which means you're going to be turning that wheel a lot harder, and the car's just going to want to go straight.
And what does that do? Heats up the front tires a lot more, so it just then the problem just magnifies, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just slows you down every single corner. You got to think 11 turns here. If you're a 1/10 of a second slower than the leader at every corner, you're running 1.1 seconds slower across this Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca track.
Yeah, and that's really it. That's the story. There is the story for fourth, Jeremy Hill, the red 00, the black 43 of Glenn Cooper as they whistle down into turn number 2. Cooper, much more aggressive line in there. As you can see, Hill really likes to go out, diamond that corner. Cooper just folds it into that first apex and then lets it double up right behind them. I think we just saw Lawrence Loshak completely sideways at the midpoint of turn 2 as he's trying to find some speed to get back around Larry Vollum.
Trying to find the front grip with that wing shaking there as well. But J.R. Osborne lowers the fastest lap. Each lap he's been the quickest on the track and dropping that time down to a 1:24.895 now. First car into the 24s.
Boy, he is absolutely flying, putting on a bit of a clinic right now. That battle for second between the 77 of Mayer and the 76 of Hickman. The margin right there is now Hickman's trimmed it. He's down to under a second adrift of Mayer, so that is going to be a very good battle to keep an eye on as well.
Watch that out. You've mentioned that before, Greg. Only 0.9 seconds separate those two guys, and there was a good gap amongst Lawrence Loshak, still struggling back in the 7th position. Larry Vollum made that pass in turn number 5, pulled a little bit away as he's going to try to run down Glenn Cooper for the top 5.
Coming down through, we've got a little bit of dust and debris blowing up off there.
Yeah, coming out of, you got to watch out for that later on these stages. We're near the end of the day. We're near the end of 3 days of championship runoffs here. The track's going to have to get a lot dirty here with all the dust blowing on, all these tires, and 3 days of running.
That's what the challenge is, isn't it? You got, every track has their little nuances, and this one, that's part of it. You get to the track. I mean, Miller Motorsports Park in Utah in the desert. You get the breeze wrong, and it comes up onto the track. This is similar to that, just for slightly different reasons. There was a look at the 77 of Mayer, and right behind him is Hickman. And Hickman closes up a little bit, and then Mayer finds a little bit of speed and gets that margin back up to just over a second.
You can change corner to corner here for your second and third place car, but Alex Meyer doing a good job. He's trying to not let J.R. Osborne pull too far away, still putting down some good laps. That last lap by was his fastest race lap at a 1:25.8, so not dropping off any. He's really pushing as hard as he can.
It was interesting as we were watching, talking about Lawrence Loshak, his win last year at Road America in the 50th running of the Runoffs. Pretty remarkable. Had a problem, didn't get to the pre-grid in time, started dead last in the wet, and came through that entire field and was able to bring it home with a win. Obviously, rather improved conditions here.
And we talk about having to switch cars. He had his helmet in the other car, so we got the pre-grid. Nobody brought his helmet over because it sit there in his Honda CRX. Had to go back and get the helmet and started last, worked his way up in the rain and won that race.
Yeah, absolutely remarkable story. Not quite having that kind of a performance, at least yet. There's still racing to go, but boy, these cars get around this track in such a hurry, Jeff. We're already working lap number 8.
Oh, just that quick. It happens 10 minutes in, and we're almost halfway through this race in a 40-minute times or 20 laps. Minute 25:04 for J.R. Osborne. The first time he's been slower than his fastest race lap, but Alex Meyer picking it up now. He's down to a 1:25.467. Lap number 7, his fastest race lap.
And there is a look at the third place runner. That is the 76, Gary Hickman, the Edge Engineering Phoenix. Ooh, somebody's looped it.
Yeah, a little sideways there. It looks like that's the number 33 of John LeBray. John LeBray, his best lap last time, and not going to have this time, but at least he gets that back underway. Just run through the dirt a little bit, but clear of turn number 2 now.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, back to this battle again for fourth. Jeremy Hill in that photon up the hill. Turns in, and boy, Cooper's found a little bit of speed again, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And Larry Vollum, with that pressure, I think, from Lawrence Loshak, Vollum, they've drawn a little bit closer to Glenn Cooper. This could turn into a 4-car battle pretty soon. Yeah,
and Loshak's been lapping about 0.3 of a second quicker against Larry Vollum, starting to close that door.
Oh, and Cooper dives to the inside, Jeff. He got a tremendous run into and through turn number 10. Then that back end just steps out as he goes to throttle, but that is going to put Glenn Cooper up into fourth, and that was just a superb launch into and through turn 10.
Yeah, watch Jeremy Hill there here get the draft coming down to the inside. It's going to be a braking thing down into turn number 2.
Oh, boy, you could just see that Cooper that door was closing, and it was down to, I think, inside the helmet. Jeremy Hill was going, do I feel lucky?
I don't think so.
No, obviously not. He backed out of it here in pretty short order.
Just all over the gas was Glenn Cooper, sliding the car, 4-wheel drift out of the exit of turn number 3. Nice flat corner, not letting the aerodynamics stick that car down, using the using the gas pedal just to get it out sideways and drift it right out to the edge. Just a beautiful piece of driving.
Yeah, and you know, Jeremy Hill turned a 127.3 that last lap. Larry Vollum a 22.2. Or 26.2 and Loshak at 26.1. So they have taken a large chunk out of that deficit they had to Cooper and Hill's battle here. They're coming up this hill. They're coming after those guys.
And that gap should be shorter here now with the battling they did going side by side like that. It's going to let these two guys that are running nose to tail close on them even more.
And we watched, you know, behind here, looking at that brightly colored sort of lime highlights there. That number 5 car behind him, Lawrence Loshak. We saw Lawrence was, pretty aggressive a bit earlier. He really has calmed down, and part of it, you see all of that wing shake. But I think he also said, I've got to back out of it a little bit here and get those tires cooled off just a little bit.
Yeah, conserve a little bit. Still a long way to go, as we're not even to halfway yet. One more lap for that. So long way to racing. To gotta go here. Larry Vollum, good job for him up into 6th place, and they are definitely catching Jeremy Hill and Glenn Cooper. That gap now down to only 0.7 of a second.
Yeah, they just took half a second off of Jeremy Hill there. And Loshak right now is just running line astern because he's saying, boy, this is working. We're catching these guys, and with over half the race to go, well, then when that time comes, we'll go after it and see what we can do. But at this stage, that's the plan. The margin now for J.R. Osborne, folks, it's Osborne's race to lose at this point. 6.6 seconds he has opened up. He's just absolutely in control today. Up the hill we go, watching this phenomenal battle. Glenn Cooper in 4th, Jeremy Hill 5th, Larry Vollum in 6th, and Lawrence Loshak sitting in the 7th spot. Up front, J.R. Osborne leads in the run to the championship in Formula B. We're going to step away for just a minute here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. We'll be back. The 2014 SCCA National Championship Runoffs are being brought to you in HD by Mazda. Conviction, creativity, courage. This is the Mazda way. And by Hankook, driving emotion.
Some people go to enormous lengths in the name of safety, like the inventor of the flame-resistant racing suit, Bill Simpson. Courageous engineering is also the Mazda way, and why the 2014 Mazda 3 has an available class-exclusive suite of 8 safety features and a top safety rating. Because when it comes to safety, you can never go too far. This is the 2014 Mazda 3. What do you drive?
This is Kenny. Kenny is a dentist, but he races autocross on the weekends. But he's not thinking about his tires right now. Kenny buys all his tires from TireRack.com. Using their exclusive test track reviews, he knows he's always getting the right tires for his car. But Kenny's not thinking about tires right now. Kenny's thinking, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. This is awesome. TireRack.com, proud sponsor of the Tire Rack SCCA National Solo Program.
Machines and their manufacturers span the planet. This is no spec series. Diversity breeds excellence and brings battle. Ride with the best and test the iconic circuits of North America. No pit stops, no quarter. The world watches and knows this is how racing should be.
The run to the gold in Formula B. Currently, the man in control is a guy named J.R. Osborne, the number 83, starting on that tire rack pole in that Ralph Furman Racing F1K015 chassis with the Kawasaki 1-liter power plant in the back. He has been dominant. There he is, and you can see there is nobody in the shot by him. And look at the abruptness, the absolute clarity that car turns into turn 5.
Yeah, he sure does, and he's still just out there for a Sunday drive, but still pushing. He's lapping 0.2 of a second against the guy that's in second place, Alex Mayer.
And Alex Mayer, and a pretty decent little battle here, although he's been able to open up now a few more seconds in control over the 76 of Gary Hickman. Those are your medals, but the best battle on the track is for 4th, and it's been the one we've been paying pretty good attention to, held by this guy, the number 43 of Cooper. There comes the 00 of Jeremy Hill, then the 5 of Larry Vollum, and then the 1 of defending class champion on the national level, Lawrence Loshak. And these guys, it's opened up just a little bit, Jeff, but I think, we just got sort of that mid-race scenario here. Although, as I say, it's opened up. Lawrence Loshak now all over the back of Larry Vollum.
Yeah, he's lapping just about a 10th apart from each other. Good shot there of the number 76 machine of Gary Hickman, sitting in 3rd place.
It's the bronze medal, last of the medal, so you're never content if you're not winning, but you're in a medal position here at the Runoffs. That's not too bad, but as you can see, not too long ago, he was within a second of Alex Mayer, and Mayer just found some speed here in the last couple of laps and has been able to open that margin up just a little bit.
Yeah, 5 seconds clear is Mayer over Gary Hickman for 3rd, and there's a good shot of Mayer as he comes down through, and this was the chassis that Lawrence Loshak drove last year, and Alex Mayer showing that this might be one of the preferred chassis they have in the Formula B category, sitting in 2nd place.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it's very low. It's squat and manages the air extremely well, and it's a pretty effective chassis. Interestingly here, just taking a look at the times though, Jeff, last lap, Glenn Cooper running half a second faster than Gary Hickman. And so that final position of the medals here on the podium may not be quite as solid as you might have thought.
Well, 4.3 seconds behind. He's going to have to get it done. He's going to have to get it done now. Only about 7.5 laps remaining.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. But we, again, as you said, there's some time, one little misstep by one of those guys. Of course, it can go the other way, too. It can be Cooper with the misstep, and then the margin opens up. Watching here, this is a good battle. This is for 8th, the number 2 of Jason Bell, and the number 79 of Dor Chaponik having a pretty solid run here, too, as they drop down once again through the corkscrew here. Again, that Jason Bell driving one of those Citations, started life as a Formula Continental chassis that then they made the work on. And that car, the number 79 of Dor Chaponik, up from 13th to 9th right now, having a good run. That is a Store, which not too long ago was the chassis to have in this category, and certainly was always an extremely strong. Oh, boy, that was bizarre. Something for number 2, Bell. It's got the exit of 11 wrong, and that has allowed Chaponik to get to the inside, Jeff.
Yeah, Chaponik was running about 0.4 quicker, and it just looked like Bell could not find a gear coming out of turn number 11. That car was almost to a stop on the exit, found it, accelerated, but unfortunately lost that 8th place.
Yeah, Chaponik able to get through. Now we'll see whether he's able to draw away. And of course, if they're running motorcycle engines, they're running that sequential box that the motorcycles have, but you can skip gears in that.
Oh, absolutely.
Or
Upshift too much,
neutral,
or find a neutral between the two on the sequential. You don't hit the button hard enough. You never know how or what would have happened there. But a little sideways there for Chaponik coming out of the exit there. It's not in hand yet over that 8th position.
I believe you call that rotation.
Just a little bit.
Sometimes
there's a little too much as the battle here between Larry Vollum and Lawrence Loshak. These guys have been about a second apart. It's a little less than that, down to about a half a second. Lawrence Loshak on the charge now.
Yeah, Loshak looks like he may have figured out a way to drive around that wing issue. That's got to be hurting him. I mean, just all of that flex on that can't be helping. And up front, boy, it sure looks like Jeremy Hill has gathered it back up and is on attack mode to Glenn Cooper for 4th. Right in front of these guys, heading down into turn number 2, the Andretti hairpin. Watch him up front. Yeah, that battle has tightened right up again as well.
Running a 1/10 of a second quicker is Hill over Cooper, and it was about 7/10 of a second, now down to 4/10 of a second.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's see, Cooper to Hickman again. Cooper that lap wasn't significant, only a 1/10 faster. And as you said, Jeff, he needs to be making up half-second chunks, not 1/10 second chunks. He did a couple of laps, but now that looks like it is planed out again.
Yeah, it makes you think if it was Glenn Cooper just conserving a little bit. Says, oh, I see him back in my mirrors. He's getting closer. Let me just turn that wick up just one more little notch.
And up the hill again into turn 6. Jeremy Hill, the 0-0. And they're still catching Hickman, but as I said, you know, a couple laps ago, Cooper was running half a second a lap faster. The last lap, it was down to a 10th a second a lap faster. So they're closing, but that has that margin of rate that they were closing has definitely decreased a bit.
Yeah, it was 4.5. It's down to 4.3. So I think, like you said before, Greg, it's going to have to take half-second chunks out if they're going to have a run at Hickman for that final podium spot.
It's interesting, you know, you take a look at these cars that started as a Continental chassis. Whoa, Loshak, big loose coming out of turn 11. He saved it, but just that moment right there just cost him a good. Ooh, look at this. Hill now diving down to the inside of Cooper. He is as close as he's been. Cooper over under. Is he confident that door is going to stay open? And he realized that at a certain point, Jeremy Hill's got to turn, but now Cooper to the inside heading into 3. Not quite enough, and tucks right back in behind. What I was going to say was the cars that started as a Continental chassis, like the car that Hill is running, one of the Photons, you can see it's a much slipperier chassis. It doesn't have anywhere near all of the vanes and barge boards and the like, which tells you it's probably not making quite the downforce, but it certainly goes well in a straight line.
Oh, it sure goes well in a straight line. And Jeremy Hill, one of the innovators here in the Formula B, Formula 1000 class, kind of petitioned the class and said this is what we think we should do, and it's been a great success. 16 cars taking the green flag here.
Yeah, he's been a player right from the get-go, as I said. So was Glenn Cooper, locking it up big time right behind him. These two guys were players right from the early days, and they are stalwarts. They love this class, and how can you not? I mean, you take a look at the performance that you're getting running around here, laps of the 124s around this track. That's mighty fast, and with a stock, and again, that's the key thing. It is a stock 1-liter superbike engine, essentially, but absolutely stock. Chassis, you can do a lot with them, but those engines, not so much, and it gives you an opportunity at it. Again, racing's expensive, but if you want this kind of performance to get it at what this costs is really pretty spectacular.
Yeah, very spectacular, and it's a cheap formula to come out and be one of the fastest cars on any club racing weekend you're going to go to. You might be one of the quicker cars out there. You look at the GT1 machines, the Formula Atlantic machines, and you got to add Formula B into the mix in that as well.
Well, and for those of you that are watching that have really only watched the runoffs here on our coverage at SCCA.com over the years, aren't really familiar with the SCCA club racing, Safe Racer club racing program on a given weekend at an SCCA regional or an SCCA national event within just their divisions around the country. You run races that are multiple race groups. You know, you'll put together a class, and usually Formula B will run with Formula Atlantic. Sometimes they'll put Formula Continental in there, but oftentimes these guys give some of those Atlanta drivers fits on certain tracks because these cars are so agile and so immediately responsive.
Yeah, you get those 6-speed gearboxes from the motorcycles on these 1000 cc's, and you think about how fast a motorcycle accelerates. These guys do exactly the same.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have quite as, obviously, a motorcycle is a lot lighter, so these guys don't have quite that power-to-weight ratio, but it's still very impressive, and these things get up and go in a hurry. And then you add, the stick that they're able to get out of these cars, pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah, those flat bottoms, those rear diffusers, and that rear wing all working together.
And we are now just completed lap 17, 3 to go. And taking a look now at the times here, we were watching Cooper throwing some times down. Well, now Jeremy Hill, once he got it on Glenn Cooper, Cooper just turned to 28. Hill just uncorked a 125.6 to the 126.4 of Gary Hickman. So he is coming. Cooper has dropped off, and now a huge battle for 5th. And it is Cooper leading Vollum, leading Loshak. Boy, this one looks like it could be pretty intent here in these last 3 laps.
Yeah, right here in the closing stages, and it's going to be changing a lot here. 3.5 seconds is the separation from Jeremy Hill to Gary Hickman for that bronze medal, but battle on for that 5th position. Glenn Cooper, Larry Vollum, and Lawrence Loshak, like you mentioned there, Greg. And so I got to think Loshak getting a good run. He might have the advantage here.
Well, he has to try it through the outside, which gives him the inside in this little kink, but that still gives Vollum the inside going into the corkscrew. Look how deep Loshak went. He pulled it off, gets Vollum off in the dust. Loshak is through. Boy, I was thinking there's not looking too good. He was going to get that thing woed down and turned, and somehow he's an amazing driver. Lawrence Loshak got it done.
I keep looking at that going, Zanardi. Okay, he kept on the pavement, but still made that outside pass work through the corkscrew.
Well, you know what? Lawrence Loshak started his racing career. He's an old ice racer. And so, the worse the grip is, the faster he tends to go relative to everybody else. And doing it again. And Hill now, as he comes by, we have 2 laps to go. The margin now is down to 3 seconds. Hill took another almost half second off of Gary Hickman. He's got to get second chunks and a second and a half chunks now. But the only hope he's got, I mean, if Hickman makes one little mistake, the pace Hill has, he would be on top of him. But then again, you have to make the pass.
Then you see there is the gap going underneath that Mother's Bridge down into turn number 5, up the hill, the hard climb into turn 6, and then the steeper climb up to the corkscrew. There is the gap. He can see him in his sights. Chase that rabbit.
Absolutely, as we have a lap and a half to go here, and this is the battle for that final medal, the bronze medal here at the National Championship Runoffs in Formula B, Formula 1000. Hill into the corkscrew. There is Hickman. Here comes Hill.
Coming down the hill through Rainey. Car looks like it is on a rail for Jeremy Hill. Little step out there just on the exit. No harm, no foul. Down through turn number 10. There is your leader, J.R. Osborne, taking the white flag. 1 lap to go.
1 lap. Ooh. A little bit of a bobble there. Looked like maybe a target fixation on that lap car. Got in just a little bit hot. Fortunately for him, I mean, he came by. Still got an 8-second lead. So that's not going to hurt him too much. And he's just got to be very, very patient now, really pick his spot to make this pass.
Well, you've done 17, 18 laps at full song.
Yeah.
You start backing that up a little bit, start to conserve. You get out of your rhythm and make little mistakes just like that.
And here is Hickman coming by in third. The margin back to Hill trimmed to 2.9. So at that time, Hill was only able to take a couple of tenths off with 1 lap to go. He needs some help from Hickman, and Hickman just has to hit his marks. Be smooth.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
Earn that final podium spot for Gary Hickman, that number 76, trying to work his way through. And there is your leader up here at the top of the corkscrew. He looks pretty content just to hang out behind that lap car. No reason to force the issue with an 8-second lead coming down the hill.
I think that's absolutely the smart thing to do. That's the 33 of John Labrie and that Bug and Weed Mart Phoenix chassis with the Suzuki power plant in the back. And again, JR knows I've got the margin. I don't really have to do anything silly here. You know, this guy's won national championships. He understands the big picture. So out of the final corner, right to the wall, dusting the crew to say thank you. It is another national championship for J.R. Osborne. His previous ones earned in the now defunct sports racer categories. Now he brings one home, his 4th, this one in Formula B. Alex Mayer will come through and pick up that silver medal. A great run for him. And there's Gary Hickman, and he consolidates it, hangs on to 3rd, and the bronze medal. But I'll tell you what, Jeremy Hill, he gave it everything he possibly could. No question about that. And on that last lap, we saw Lawrence Loshak make the pass. He does bring it home in 6th behind Glenn Cooper. Ballum in the 7th spot. Chaponik, a good run to 8th. Jason Bell 9th. And Rod Rice in 10th. And we've, even though he didn't finish the race, you've got to give that GoPro Hero Move of the Race Award to Jose Gerardo. Remember, started in the 12th spot and in that number 14, and he made that outside pass around the Andretti hairpin and put himself briefly up into the top 5 from 14th on the opening lap, and then went spearing off the track on lap 2. But wow, that was a hero move.
Yeah, Alex Mayer still at full song here. Hopefully somebody can get on the radio and say, hey, by the way, the checkered flag's out. You didn't just pass the leader. You're not winning.
Yeah, he might just have some radio communication issues, certainly. J.R. Osborne doesn't. He saw the checker. He knows.
We'll have to keep track of Meyer here and see if he makes the pit lane or does he come back around to do one more lap.
You better hope you make the pit lane, because when the race is over, the stewards don't particularly care. That's called blowing the checker, and they're not real thrilled with that. And J.R. Osborne, he did pit. We get the report, so he's in, as is J.R. Osborne, and he's making that tight turn here in pit lane, and going to be trundling almost all the way down to pit out after a big salute to the workers and his crew, because he gets to have the interview, and it's up there where that beautiful piece of metal is draped around your neck.
Well, he's got 4 podiums, and they've all been on the top step, 4 championships.
That's a pretty good ratio.
Not too bad, actually.
Not too shabby.
Doesn't know what a silver or a bronze medal feels like.
And he's been asked, you know, I mean, just to give you an idea of the high regard he's put in, he's been asked by a lot of different chassis makers to do the development and testing on these cars. And a lot of that's done at SCCA competitions, and he's done it for a number of them. And this new RFR, Ralph Furman Racing F1K 015, well, he put together another remarkable performance today. The helmet is off, and that usually means it's time for us to throw it down to Hayward Wagner for an interview with our latest national champion.
Well, the helmet is mostly off, now all the way off. A little Hans device hang up there as we have JR trying to wrestle his way out of the car. JR Osborne, your winner here in Formula 1000, getting the Hoosier necklace, a little Hoosier love. JR just looked like a silky smooth drive. Talk about this race.
It wasn't for a lack of trying. We got the car 3 weeks ago. We didn't even have a ride. And Ralph Furman stepped up and said, drive his car, and we shipped it over, got it from England to Denver, and been working on it for 3 weeks. And so many people to get this thing to be here today. It's, I mean, Nicholas Belling, Ted Dale, Dave Caswell, all the guys at Front Range Motorsports, and Hoosier Tires, so much stuff. And we were fighting it all in the beginning of the weekend. We got a good test day and lost the balance, and it finally came my way this time. Usually it goes ass backwards at the runoff, so it's been 6 years.
The guys in the booth know this is your 4th podium, all of them the top step. Any interest at all in figuring out what a silver or bronze medal feels like here?
Second sucks.
All right, there's your answer, folks. JR gets a victory lap. We're going to send him around for one. I'm going to see if I can grab Alex. Alex Mayer finishing in the 2nd spot. Alex, if you step up here, let's talk with you real quick. First of all, Alex, tell us how old you are, bud.
It was a pretty good race. I mean, the car was a little loose here and there, but it was good overall.
A silver medal here at the Runoffs. It looked like you just kind of got into a groove. Maybe JR was a little bit too far away to catch. Maybe you were a little bit too quick to be caught. Did you just get into a groove and go from there, or were you trying to run this guy down?
I was trying to run him down from the get-go, but once you get into that groove, like you were saying, you just kind of stick with it and keep pushing.
Now we got to ask, how old are you?
20 years old.
So another youngster here at the SCCA National Championship Runoffs, taking home some hardware, standing on the podium. We've got one more we need to speak with, and that is Gary Hickman. Gary, 3rd place finisher here in Formula 1000. You had a little bit of work to do today.
I did. The temperatures came up and tires started going away a little bit, and I just kind of hung on. Car was oversteering a little bit, so I just felt like I needed to sort of preserve it and at least roll over the finish line in 3rd.
Well, 3rd's not a bad place to roll over the finish line. Congratulations on the medal and a 3rd place finish here at the SCCA National Championship Runoffs.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, guys, we're going to send it back upstairs. There's your Formula B top 3 here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca.
Thanks very much, Hayward. And yeah, J.R. Osborne's blunt. You know, 2nd isn't where you want to be. But it was interesting. He was talking about, you know, having a test day, then losing their way. The 2nd session on Wednesday, he went from a 25.5 in the first qualifying on Tuesday to a 27 flat on Wednesday. Some of that was we had black flags that interrupted things and, you know, didn't allow you to get the run. But on Thursday, he uncorked a 23.7, and that was the time that put him up on the pole by almost 0.6 of a second. So they found their way when it counted.
Yeah, they sure did. Did a good job there, working their way up through and made it count for a national championship. You heard him say it's been 6 years, and that makes it 4 now.
6 years since the national championship, 3 weeks developing this car after it arrived from England. I mean, wow, that's spectacular in and of itself. So he is enjoying this very special lap of honor, and at this point, I think, Jeff, we're done. We're wrapped up here, and we've just got a couple of national championships yet to unfold, and that means that Rick Benjamin and Randy Popes are going to be stepping in and taking you to the finish in just a couple of minutes. But first, here's a look now at the unofficial results. Formula B, top 10. The medalists are J.R. Osborne with the gold, Alex Mayer with the silver, Gary Hickman with the bronze. Jeremy Hill, great run to 4th. Glenn Cooper, those two guys had a great battle for a large chunk of the race, and then Cooper had to fend off a fast-closing Lawrence Loshak at the end, who ended up 6th for the defending champ. Larry Volum into 7th. Dor Chaponik, a couple of opportunistic moves, that's for sure, up into 8th. Jason Bell into 9th, and in 10th. it was Rod Rice. So that is your top 10 here at the SCCA's National Championship Runoffs for Formula B or Formula 1000. So once again, we're going to wrap things up here. It has been an absolute honor. Once again, I need to say a huge thank you to everybody with Speedcast TV, Clark Cameron and the entire gang for letting us be a part of it again, to everybody at the SCCA National Office and to SCCA in general, and most importantly, Jeff, to all of the volunteers from the very beginning when you get here to registration all the way through tech, and especially those corner workers out in harm's way on the track. An absolutely fantastic event to be part of in its first visit to the West Coast in 46 years. We're done, folks, but the national championships aren't. Again, Rick Benjamin and Randy Pope's coming up for Jeff Lepper. And again, Hayward, first time here, he did an absolutely fantastic job covering the pits for us. It's been a pleasure. He's got 2 more races to go. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody. The 2014 SCCA National Championship Runoffs are being brought to you in HD by Mazda. Conviction, creativity, courage. This is the Mazda way. And by Hankook, driving emotion.
Some people go to enormous lengths in the name of safety, like the inventor of the flame-resistant racing suit, Bill Simpson. Courageous engineering is also the Mazda way, and why the 2014 Mazda 3 has an available class-exclusive suite of 8 safety features and a top safety rating. Because when it comes to safety, you can never go too far. This is the 2014 Mazda 3. What do you drive?
This is Kenny. Kenny is a dentist, but he races autocross on the weekends. But he's not thinking about his tires right now. Kenny buys all his tires from TireRack.com. Using their exclusive test track reviews, he knows he's always getting the right tires for his car. But Kenny's not thinking about tires right now. Kenny's thinking, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. This is awesome. TireRack.com, proud sponsor of the Tire Rack SCCA National Solo Program.
The machines and their manufacturers span the planet. This is no spec series. Diversity breeds excellence and brings battle. Ride with the best and test the iconic circuits of North America. No pit stops, no quarter. The world watches.